The power supply for the state of Washington is on the cusp of maxing out. We need to generate more, but what is Washington State willing to do for it?
Fox 13's Taylor Winkle is continuing coverage on Amazon's investment to expand nuclear power at Hanford with what lawmakers say is best for our state.
Amazon's calling for the use of several small modular reactors, or SMRs, but the tech is largely untested and expensive. Environmentalists are worried about putting them in the same place where old nuclear waste continues posing a threat to the Columbia River and surrounding areas. But for anybody who remembers this headline from the New York Times back in the 80s, the worry goes much deeper. When it comes to green power, we think solar or wind. Nuclear energy usually isn't included, though it depends on who you ask.
I think nuclear is a green energy.
The dollars it costs are the only thing that is green about this. And so it's green for Amazon. And for the rest of us, it's an environmental liability.
Amazon is partnering with Energy Northwest, the statewide consortium of utility companies. And they're funding 4 small modular nuclear reactors, or SMRs, at Hanford.
I guess modern day, you'd watch The Simpsons and you'd see these massive plants. But now, with the emergence of SMRs and smaller nuclear reactors, I think there's an opportunity to diversify our energy portfolio with nuclear.
Representative Peter Abarno sits on the Environment and Energy Committee. He says we need to be exploring new energy sources here in Washington before we see a crisis.
We don't have the land to continue to build fairly and effective wind turbines to create energy. We don't have the land mass or the capacity to continue to eat up our farmland with solar panels.
But as Representative Jerry Paulette, who's director of the Hanford Cleanup Citizens Advocacy Group, points out, we've actually been here before.
I'm very fearful that many of my colleagues in the legislature and much of the public has forgotten the lessons from the whoops debacle.
Energy Northwest is a rebrand of the old Washington Public Power Supply System, or WHOOPS for short. Back in the 60s and 70s, WHOOPS announced plans to build up to 5 reactors at Hanford. Like today, they were responding to predictions of a power shortage. With a power source they really had no experience building, energy demand dropped, construction costs grew, and WHOOPS ended up defaulting on more than $2 billion in bonds that ratepayers across our state shouldered for years.
We seem to be repeating that today.
But unlike before, Amazon, not the public, would have first dibs on any energy the SMRs generate, while we'd all collectively be left with the waste.
On behalf of Amazon's billions of dollars in profits for AI and data centers, that's not appropriate.
This is video from Energy Northwest. It shows how spent nuclear fuel is stored. First, the waste is cooled in water for 5 years. Then it's sealed in those cans and stored on that concrete pad forever. It's still unclear how much radioactive waste SMRs generate and whether Energy Northwest's current storage system for that spent fuel will last. There's no feasibility study, no publicly available plans, no license, and no estimate of the final cost, but you're not going to hear any complaints from Representative Abarno.
Well, I think there's a level of waste in any sort of energy production. Look, solar panels are made in China from coal plants with slave labor. And I don't hear a lot of complaints about the continued use of solar panels.
Amazon, Energy Northwest, and X-Energy all seem positioned to move forward, with state leaders, including Governor Jay Inslee, standing behind them.
They want to give it political momentum and make the public think that it's a done deal. It's just that simple.
If the Hanford SMRs can move forward, it's likely they wouldn't come online until around 2040, which wouldn't do much for the energy shortage right now. A similar project was recently called off in Utah last year after those costs skyrocketed more than 50% of what was originally estimated. I'll send it back to you in the studio.